So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. Unfortunately, it seemed to be that our new streaming software from OBS was causing our issues. So, we are back live. We're following currently Brent Dixon. So, really unfortunate that we couldn't quite get OBS to work properly for us. But anyway, life is. The show goes on for tonight. And yeah. So 3 minutes to go. It is this man here, Tom Lauder, who is on top with a 2:07.6. It would look like he will be in the prime position for the shootout, which will take place after this session. He's 1/10 down in his own time there. However, Tom looks like he will be on top by the end of this qualifying session, unless Steve Duro, or Steve, another new name for the E-Series, but a very, very quick driver. Steve Duro parks it back in the garage. The times are starting to come down very, very quickly, as we can see that the top 6, separated by less than a second. Refocus on Duro. He goes out again. Don't think he's going to get around in time for another lap, but probably just to double check a setting has worked. As we have a quick look down the bottom, Tom Lauder looks like he has gone quicker in a microsector. Ben Piper as well has done. Oh, Piper's in the pits actually. No, he's not. He's on track. But he has gone out of the pits on an out lap, so I don't think he's going to get around. There's 1 minute to go. It's a 2-minute lap. So Piper is not going to get around, but Glenn Riddle, what an improvement from Glenn Riddle. Gone from being about 2 to 3 seconds off the pace to now being in the top 6 and within a second of the top time. So with 4 seconds left to go, well, 1 second, that is the end of the session. Glenn Riddle will end the session in 6th position. Tom Lauder has improved his time at 2:07. Chris Ruffalo has disconnected from the server, so I hope Chris gets in soon, because if he doesn't get in before the end of the session, he will not be able to get back in. As Madretsky to the top of the timesheet. So Vlad Madretsky setting a time at the very bottom of the page there. As we already have some people calling it that there will be carnage in turn 2. That is very, very likely. Damage does affect the performance of the cars, as of course you can get suspension damage and bodywork damage. Chris Nipris brings the big Corvette to this big lockup going into the corner. That time will be a throwaway, but Chris Nipris is in the top 5. He's the only driver on the track now. Don't think he's going to improve on his time. We're just going to have to switch that off. That's not quite doing what we wanted it to do. Yeah, Chris Rafalo he's not managed to get back into the server. He's got about he's got a minute 40 to get back into the server before he's locked out of this race. But there is the results from the session. So Vlad 2:08.5 comes up in, rounds out the top 5. Glenn Riddell with a 2:08.6, another improving driver, very, very well. Kurt Woodward in 7th place, Michael DeVito 8th place, Ben Piper 9th, while Brent Dixon rounds out the top 10. Over the page we have Matt Southwell, current championship leader, struggling with the McLaren, and Kurt Dixon starting to find some pace. Only 7 seconds off the pace, and Sean Garrard still coming to grips with that Porsche 911. Once again, it is not a very, very easy car to drive. As we see, all the drivers are in the server, so we will get set for a reset and go for the Super Pole session. It's coming up very, very soon. Answer to Ruka's question, will Chris Nipris remember to take fuel? Developing story, well, we'll just have to wait and find out, honestly. So, we're about to get started with the qualifying, with the Super Pole session. As we just get ourselves set up, focusing on first car out the gate, which should be Sean Garrard, the 911 Porsche, making his way out onto the track. So Sean has the whole track to himself to do one flying lap. Of course, after this session, we move straight into the race. 1 hour race with a rolling start, manual rolling start. That'll be very interesting to see how these drivers manage it, who will be on pole position controlling the pace. And then at 20 minutes, between 20 and 40 minutes, they will have a mandatory pit stop. So as we watch Sean Garrard starting to warm those tyres up. Sean, brand new to the world of sim racing. He has never raced, he's never done any sort of sim racing before, and here he is now. Set to take on some very experienced drivers. You've got experienced sim racers, you've got experienced karters. Got a lot of talented drivers out there at the moment. Sean really working the tyres hard, trying to keep the temperature up. So I'd like to welcome everyone, wherever you are in the world, rejoining our stream. Very sorry about the issues we've been having all evening. First it was our server not being set up properly, and then it was our streaming program. As for some reason we had a kick vote there, that's odd. I'm sure someone accidentally clicked the kick button, as everyone is probably trying to work out how to observe Sean's lap. As ooh, Sean gets a little bit too early on the turn in there, but nonetheless Sean make his way around the final corner and make a start. Oh, as we've gone too far with the camera selection, as we're right on board with Sean as he makes his way up the main straight and into the first corner. Nice and gentle in, still getting to grips. Rounds the first corner, nice tight exit as he is feathering the throttle. The Porsche really tail happy, of course all the weight in the back of the car. And very gentle, still building up his confidence. Makes his way around turn number 7, I think that is. To turn 8, this very tricky uphill right and left. The next car on the track will be Kurt Dixon, 1/3 of the DKS kart team. Kart sport team, I should say. As Sean outbrakes himself slightly, takes the wide line. He fires himself down the front straight. As you can hear, second Porsche on the track at the moment. As we see, Ben Piper in the chat. Ben, what are you doing in the chat? Should be watching Sean and supporting him, mate. Sean comes down to this left-hander and stops the clock at the second sector. 1:34. Comes a very... this section is a lot harder than what it looks. You got to try and have a car that will rotate and then stay stable on the exit, and then you got to reverse the situation in the very next corner. As he comes through the triple right-hander, over the crest, down the hill into the second last corner. Very tricky corner to get right. It is sort of blind, and he takes it too early, cuts that sausage curb. And Sean rounds the final corner and stops the clock with a 2-minute 22.7. Let's see if we can get the right Dixon here, as we do. Kurt Dixon. So he starts to make his way to the final corner to start his shootout. Kurt Dixon, another one of the sim racing debutants. He starts his flying lap. Of course, Kurt Dixon, a very experienced karter. So I think that must be Tom Lauder in the chat as well. Tom, am I pronouncing your surname correctly? I feel like I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Go on board, Kurt Dixon through the S's. Nice and smooth. Was Kurt? It's not. From what I heard, he's not quite using the latest, greatest direct drive steering wheel. didn't see his first sector time. So we'll see what he stops the second split at. And he stops at a 29. Not quite giving us a sector time based on the fastest lap of the session, but we'll have to wait and see what he does when he crosses the control line, and he gets it all wrong. So like I said, that corner is quite difficult to get right. It isn't super easy like it looks on paper. But Kurt Dixon, and the Porsche, of course, is not the easiest car to drive. All the weight over the rear wheels tends to over-rotate, and quite honestly, I refuse to drive it myself. But Kurt Dixon rounds the final corner, and he stops the clock at a 2:16.084. Impressive time. Kurt Dixon goes top of the leaderboard as we focus on, I thought I heard a Corvette on track. Find who it is eventually. That's right, it's Matt Southwell. My God, the McLaren sound mod that we have does make it sound a little bit beefier like a Corvette. But Matt Southwell, championship leader, hoping to consolidate his championship lead. But he's doing it the tough way. No practice whatsoever. Missed the practice session last Friday. And apparently hasn't even sat on the sim since, well, round 1. Southwell gets through the S's nice and smoothly. Uses a little bit of those orange sausage curbs. Well, Southwell was quite competitive in our fun race that we had here earlier in the year, but he's taking it nice and easy. Knows the world is watching him at the moment. Cameron Miller, am I the only non-professional driver in here? Potentially, mate, potentially. And Matt Southwell fires it down into this hairpin. Shifts it into first gear. Uses all the exit space and fires it down the back straight. See if we can't try and spy what speed he is doing. Probably not going to do it that way. There we go. That's not giving us any information whatsoever, so never mind. So Southwell stops the second sector at a 1:27. So he's only a little bit quicker than Dixon at this stage. Ben Pipe, pay me if you want. Why would I pay you, Ben? Moving on, Matt Southwell rounds the triple right-hander, gets a little bit sideways. McLaren not quite completely settled. As he fires it through the second to last corner, misses the apex by a country mile. So, Southwell doing a few victory wiggles by the looks of things. So let's see if we get the right car straight away. Yes, we do. Brent Dixon coming through to the final corner to start his lap. Brent Dixon currently 4th in the championship. Had a bit of a struggle at the Nürburgring. Now he fires it down the main straight and starts his lap. We go on board with Brent Dixon coming up to the first corner. Where does he get on the brakes? Well past the 100-metre board. But he misses the apex, probably braked a little too late, way over the AstroTurf. Track limits again. I did pretty certain that we worded these guys up about track limits before the race began. But anyway, it's Kurt. Oh, got it a little bit wrong there. No, just get it rotated in time for that final apex there. Comes up this uphill right-left. No trace of oversteer or wheel spin. Fires it down the hill. Ben Piper in the chat there. Thanks for keeping us entertained in the chat there, Ben. Face for radio here. If you say so, mate. I'm not judging. As we refocus on Brent Dixon. He comes down the back straight. Probably topping out at around 245 k's per hour and gets it slowed down to about 90 k's. Rounds the left-hander. And stops the second sector at a 126. So he is a little bit faster than Southwell. That Corvette nice and planted. Now what has Brent Dixon got for the top drivers tonight? Dixon comes around the triple right-hander into this downhill left. And into the final corner. What will he stop the time at? Predicting about a 2:09, I reckon. Doesn't use anywhere near the amount of exit space that Southwell did, a 2:09.6. So Dixon, top the leaderboard again. As now we focus on Ben Piper. But finally Ben's out of the chat and onto the track, sorry. Fantastic looking number 26 Audi R8 as he starts the clock on his shootout lap. Nice and smooth into turn 1 and fires it down the hill. Can Ben keep it together through the S's? He's been having trouble with that all through the practice sessions and a little bit of oversteer. Manages to hang on to it. Jump on board with him. Very wide, he's missing the apex. Some of the faster drivers are all over that right-hander curb. A little bit of oversteer on the exit. Comes down the hill towards this hairpin. It's turned in nicely. Oh, a bit of wheel spin. And we can just see the dash display as well, so we'll tell you what speed he's getting up to at the end of the straight. It's just past 230, past 240, 245, 250, 264 kilometres per hour. And he gets it back down to about 80 kilometres per hour. A little bit wide. He stops the second sector split at about 125, I think I saw. It's a very different line. Ben opting for a late apex up towards the triple right-hander. Manages to keep that Audi on the proper line. Nice tidy exit into the final corner. Certainly does, and he stops the clock. It's going to be a 2:08.2, so far every single driver has gone faster. So now we're going to have to play a guessing game as to who's out on track at the moment, as it's Michael DeVito, the meme machine. Not really sure how experienced Michael is with shootouts. Michael DeVito racing in the Cheap Car Challenge, along with Matt Southwell, actually. Oh, doesn't quite get the exit right. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. DeVito gets the Ferrari pointed in a straight line and up towards turn 1. Angles it in nice and early. That last little bit of the crest, that's where we start seeing wheels locking up. Now, DeVito, what can he do through this little S-bend? Car's looking nice and solid. Body language suggests that the car is nice and balanced. Let's see what his steering inputs are. All very wide. He missed the apex a lot for that right-hander. Cuts as much of the track as he dares. And into this final hairpin. Oh, sorry, first hairpin. Or second hairpin. Pay no attention to me, I'm getting my track geography mixed up. He starts getting the Ferrari down this back straight. Ferrari's not exactly the fastest car in a straight line. But boy, does it handle well. Braking just before the 100-metre board. Oh, misses the apex again. Mid-corner understeer. Not quite the smoothest line, but you can see all sorts of lines from these drivers. Very squared off approach. Now comes up to the triple right-hander. Looks like it's holding its trajectory pretty well. As the car's nice and balanced through the second last corner. Can he get the last corner right this time? He certainly does. What will he stop the clock at? It's not going to be pole. It's going to be third. So, not the best time for Michael DeVito. As we now turn our focus onto Kurt Woodward. And the number 9 DKS Corvette. Oh, here are the brakes locking up. Misses the apex onto the front straight. Sends the big Corvette up the main straight. What speed does he get up to? Just under 230 kilometers per hour. He's got to back it off now. Down to about 70 kilometers per hour, 60 kilometers per hour. He gets the apex nicely. Woodward currently second in the championship. It's a good chance for him to make up some points on his main rival, Matt Southwell and Chris Nipris. Holds a very nice trajectory. Very tight entry into turn number 8. Gets it nice and fine on near that massive sausage curve that a lot of drivers have been slapping over and spitting themselves off the side of the track. Oh, little brake lock up, you just heard it then. You see what speed the Corvette gets up to, 240, 250. So not quite the fastest car in a straight line. As he uses third. Uses the torque of the Corvette to get out of some of these slower corners, it seems. Gets the Corvette pointed in. Carries the brakes all the way to the apex though. It's very well done. Now Woodward points it into the second to last corner. Oh, misses the apex. Going to go very wide. Very, very wide. That's going to cost him a few tenths. As the Corvette slowed down enough though. Gets it out of the final corner. He's going to stop the clock at a 2:08.7. So Piper hangs on to the top spot. Ben Piper still on top with a 2:08.2. But we're getting into the quick guys. Here's Glenn Riddell. Very experienced driver in the Retro Karting Association. Very experienced driver, full stop. I think he's from Melbourne. The number 64 McLaren. As we see Chris Nipris light up the Corvette in the background. And Riddell gets it all wrong through turn 1. So we can call this lap a bit of a write-off. It's just going to be damage control from there on out. He's got to keep his head cool and try not to push to make up for that lost time. He's using the sausage curbs very, very effectively. Gets the McLaren nice and pointed in. We're going to ride on the hood with Glenn Riddell. As he comes and fires the McLaren down the back straight. Listen to the sound of the McLaren. It's almost a very quiet purr. Brakes a little bit earlier than the other drivers, but he does make it to the apex nicely. Oh, too much curb there. That'll cost him again. And again. It's been a bit of a sloppy lap from Riddell. We'll see where he ends up. Probably predicting about a 2:09. He points it into the second to last corner. Does he use that sausage curb? No, he gets it pointed in a bit better than Woodward. But this is not going to be a strong lap from Riddell. He stops the clock at 2:09.8. He's behind Dixon, so he's fourth at the moment. As now we turn our focus to the wonderful livery. Of course, Anzac Day this weekend in Australia. Day where we commemorate our armed forces who've gone and fought for our freedom. Chris Nipperus running a special livery to pay tribute to Anzacs. Gets the Corvette pointed in. Too much curb. Uses the sausage curb, so that's going to cost him a little bit of time on Ben Piper's 2:08. So we jump into the cockpit with Chris Nipperus as he goes through these S's. That wasn't the best entry. But he exits a little bit better. He's having a couple of stabs at the throttle, gets over the sausage curb. Oh, sideways. That's going to cost him. Piper, he survived for a very long time at the top of the leaderboard. And now I see he's back in the chat straight away, so welcome back, Ben. Can Chris Nipperus, can he pull up the big Corvette? Angles it in a little bit. He does. Uses all the exit space. I think I saw a 127 at the second intermediate. See what line Nipperus takes. It's a very smooth line. Up to the triple right-hander. Takes a very different line to all the drivers before. Gets it pulled up and kisses that curb really nicely. Uses all the exit space and some of the AstroTurf as well. Oh, a little bit of wheel spin, but he's going to stop the clock. It's not a good time to 2:09.7. Chris will not be happy with that. As mentioned, he's struggled to get the car to point in the way he wants. But now we're into some of the quick guys. Chris Ruffalo, the number 20. Brand new C7R Corvette. Swapping from Mercedes after last week's practice. And it is now we're right on board with Chris. A little bit smoother than Chris Nipperus, and it's, well, fourth fastest of the Corvettes by the looks of things. There's a little bit of mid-corner oversteer, or entry oversteer. Dancing with the steering wheel there. As the Corvette rotated, and now fires it down the back straight. Farlow, one of the quickest drivers in the qualifying session. As we are getting to the end of it. It's only Steve Duro, Tom Lauder, and Vladimir left to run in the session. Farlow car does not look 100% comfortable on the one-lap setup. Gets the car point. Oh, way too much exit space. So that'll cost him a little bit. Gets it pointed in. 205, 206, 207. It's not going to be quick enough for top, so Ben Piper survives another one. So Ben Piper, he's held on for such a long time. But now, Steve Duro, he's one of the fast guys. One of the drivers tipped by you in chat to take this round. And that was a very aggressive approach to turn one. On the absolute maximum of braking. Wonderfully presented Mercedes. Wow, he carried the throttle for such a long time, you heard it. He didn't button off until he was almost at the right-hander. So that is a well-balanced car. As Duro fires it back up the hill and really uses all the curb. Changes direction nicely. So Duro really on the pace. So now we wait and see what Duro can do down this back straight. What speed can the Mercedes get up to? It's already past 210, 220, 230, 240. Now it's slowing down, 250. Up to 262 kilometers per hour on the brakes hard. See the car twitching. Duro doing a really good job hanging onto it then. He gets the car rotated. That car is looking so balanced. Not a hint of oversteer, not a hint of wheel spin. And that is extremely balanced into that left hand, that tricky left-hander. Now into the triple right-hander. A little bit of a hesitation on the throttle there, but Duro continues on as he gets the apex perfectly. Powers out of the final corner. What does he stop the clock at? It's going to be a 2:07. Wow, what a time from Steve Duro. So Lauder, very aggressive, firing into the first corner. Absolutely love it. Now we go on board with Tom. Ooh, he uses a little bit of exit. A little bit of the sausage curve, I should say. It looks like he's down by 0.1 over Steve Duro's time. So Lambo's rotated up the hill. The car's looking very stable in the acceleration. That was impressive, getting the car pulled up. And he's up by 0.2. Now sector times are working. Oh, he's missed the apex slightly as he fires up to the triple right-hander. Oh, very wide. Don't think Tom intended to do that. We'll see what he stops the clock at. It's looking like a good lap. I don't think it's going to be as good as Steve Duro's time. It definitely is not. Oh, only just though. 0.07 of a second. That's got to be so frustrating. And now it's the Russian man himself, Vladimir Mudretsky. He now starts his flying lap of Circuit of the Americas. pulls it up in time for turn 1 and then fires it down the hill towards the Kota S's. How's the Audi looking? Looking very stable. That is a cracking first sector. 0.1 up on Steve Duro. Flicks the Audi right and left up the hill, and down the hill he comes now. Just what could super pole session. He's just got to keep nice and tidy the rest of this lap. He's going to need a 206, I think, and I think he might be able to do it. The car is looking very well balanced. He's lost a bit of time in the middle sector. Gets the Audi pulled up really hard. How does he take this corner? Takes a very smooth line. Fairly conventional. Nothing fancy. Now goes for the triple apex. Right-hander. A little bit of a hesitation on the throttle. Will that cost him? Doesn't quite get the second to last corner perfect, but gets up to the final corner. Who will take the top spot? It's going to be Vlad. So Vlad tops the Super Pole session by 0.05 of a second. What a lap from Vlad Medretsky. As there is the final standings for the qualifying session. So Vlad Medretsky on debut, the 11th hour entry. He sets a time of a 207.041 ahead of Steve Duro in the number 12 Mercedes, a 207.09. Thomas Lauder, he brings up third position, while Ben Piper, he rockets up the leaderboard from 8th to 4th. I think it was 8th. Well, he's up to 4th now. Christopher Farlow rounds out the top 5 and getting the last point from Super Pole. So, Vlad Medretsky, 10 points to his championship. Steve Duro, 5. Tom, 4. No, sorry, Tom gets 3. Ben, 2. And Chris, 1 point. Kurt Woodward in 6th position. Brent ahead of his teammate Brent Dixon. And 7th, Chris Nipris completes the trifecta of the Corvettes in 8th position. Glenn Riddle in the McLaren comes in 9th, while Michael DeVito rounds out the top 10. Over the page, Matthew Southwell, championship leader, languishing down in 11th position. Lack of practice really hurting him. Kurt Dixon, a debutant in sim racing and the E-Series, in 12th. And Sean Garrard, another debutant in sim racing and the E-Series, rounds out the field in 13th position. We'll now have a quick break, and we'll come back to you with the race. So stay tuned with us. We'll see you in a couple of minutes for round number 2 of the Go Race Promotions E-Series. Hello and welcome back. We are back for almost the start of what has been an absolutely crazy night of E-Series racing with technical problems plaguing us all night. Now we are finally about ready to get this race underway. We've still got about 3 minutes, so let's see who will take the top spot. Of course, Vlad Medretsky taking the top spot in the Super Pole session, and it was a very narrow margin separating the top three. Those three drivers really having their cars sorted out for that one lap dash. So for those of you in chat, while we're waiting for the start of the race, let me know where you're watching from. Always interested to see how far GeForce Promotions is reaching. Cameron Miller from the Gold Coast, all the way from the Gold Coast. Come for your boy DeVito. Great to see that Michael's got some support up in the sunny Sunshine Coast. GeForce Motions is currently based in Canberra, and as you can imagine, the temperature is absolutely plummeting through the floor. Absolutely freezing down here at the moment. Not even into May. So quite jealous of you, Cameron. So there it is, about ready to get this very delayed race underway finally. There's now have about 60 seconds left just for drivers to make sure that their setups are all correct and they are ready and comfortable for this 1 hour race, as we're going to just remove. We can't remove our car just yet. Look at our drivers. Cameron Miller, rolling start, that's correct. We have to do a manual rolling start. So we have 20 seconds remaining before we finally get this race underway. 3 minutes warm up, and then we get formed up and racing, as that takes his time. Oh no, that's right, we have to wait for the game to actually start the race. As now we are away. Duro lights up the tyres as we're going to remove our course car, get it out of the way, and we're going to focus on our pole sitter. Of course, we've been very, very naughty. We have already got a penalty. Drivers taking their time. Well, actually, Vladimir is really got the field going at a pretty reasonable pace. I'd say he just wants to get on with it. We're right on board with Tom for a quick second. Steve Duro. He's been quick this entire round, from practice all the way to now. Ever since he set foot in the Go Roast Promotions server, he has been a driver that we have committed to watch very, very closely. And don't forget to barrack for Sean Garrard, brand new driver to the world of sim racing, brand new to the E-Series. And he's driving, in my opinion, what has to be the hardest car you could ever want to drive, the Porsche 911 GT3. It's not an easy car to drive. I just could not get that car to handle myself. And ahead of him is another debutant, Kurt Dixon, in the number 216 Porsche. Just ahead of him is Matt Southwell, current championship leader. As the field starts to slow down, we've got a minute left to get this race underway. Madretsky on pole position. As we're finally getting this race underway. It's been such a journey just to get to this point. An unbelievable journey. Now the field starts to get ready to form up. No more weaving. The field starting to split into 2x2 formation. So once they get on as to when we start, no one is allowed to break formation until Vlad goes. Got 7 seconds to go. Officially the race will start in 3, 2, 1. As we are racing, Vladimir goes for it as Piper spreads out to the left-hand side, as it is going to be almost 3 wide into turn 1. Piper has got a lightning start. Vlad outbreaks himself at Duro, manages to hang it around the outside of Piper, and Duro goes to the top. So Steve Duro, some of the pronunciations, but he's got Piper beside him. Ben Piper trying to go side by side with Vlad through the S's, and he's got Tom Lauder all over the back of him. Lauder has to take to the inside as we got a car around. That is Raffalo. Raffalo is facing the wrong direction. I don't know what exactly has happened there. But Chris Raffalo, he falls to the back of the field behind Sean Garrard. Sean Garrard's had a moment as well as he's rejoining, and so has Brent Dixon. He's behind his brother Brent. But out in front it is Steve Duro leading the field ahead of Vlad Madretsky. Some drivers not using their patience as best as they probably could. But Michael DeVito, what a start he's had. Starting from 10th, he is now up to 6th position. And he runs wide. So Piper has a chance to get back, and he's got Kurt Woodward behind him. Will Woodward go for the dive? He doesn't. He decides to play it smart. The first 50 minutes of this race is just setting yourself up so that you can be in a position to fight. As we see the two McLarens of Southwell and Riddell battling together. They're side by side through the triple right-hander. Riddell very, very generous to give Southwell some space. They're still side by side going to the second last corner. And Southwell does get in front, a little twitch, but Riddell will get the switch back. And he gets up the inside. Oh, and a punt there from Southwell and Riddell. Riddell pucked his. It's still Steve Duro as Vlad Madretsky got the chicane all wrong. He's got Tom Lauder behind him, some distance. As you can see, the live gaps are updating. So Steve Duro with a 2.5 second lead over Vlad Madretsky. As we can see, the field has started to settle down. To the line of stern, the closest battle so far looks to be between Michael DeVito and Chris Nipris. As you can see, Chris Nipris, he's got the headlights ablaze. Needs to take a few lessons from me on how to do dive bombs, I think. I thought he was going to go for it then. But Michael DeVito manages to hold off Chris Nipris for another few corners at least. Just get the sense that Chris Nipris is probably got a little bit more pace at this stage of the race. Know that Chris spent a lot of time on his race setup. My God. butchering some of these surnames, and I do apologise to those drivers as the rest of the field files through. Oh, DeVito very wide onto the AstroTurf as this battle is starting to get a little bit tighter. Nipris flashing the headlights at DeVito, trying to apply maximum pressure. Nipris does not want to let the front guys get away. A little wide through the final left-hander. These drivers, as I think, yeah, Glenn Riddell, he's had a spin. He was having a really good race, but now Riddle, Southwell now has a spin. So championship leader, faster for Southwell. As we can start to see, the top three are starting to pull away from the rest of the field. As we focus on Tom Lauder. As he starts to try and close up onto the back of Madretsky. Of course, these drivers do have to make a mandatory pit stop between 20 minutes and 40 minutes. Tyre wear has been quite high around this track. Lauder really using all the revs. Of course, fuel burn as well. It's 2:07.5. Tom Lauder does a 2:07 flat. He's now the fastest lap of the race. The rest of the field sitting in the 2:09s, as I think Chris Nipris has had a spin. He must have had a moment. He's dropped off the back of DeVito. As we now see Chris Ruffalo, he's starting to make his way up through the field. Not sure what happened at the start there, but Ruffalo's way down the field. And he's now commenced his fight back. Not the debut he wanted for the number 20 Corvette. Back up in front we got Kurt Woodward. He's now got Michael DeVito all over him. Number 9 Dixon Kart Sport Corvette. Having a really good run at the moment. Oh, he's run wide. This is going to give DeVito a bit of a chance. Don't forget, if you were in chat, make sure you send us a comment, ask us questions. Love to see. Oh, DeVito, what's going on? What is going on at the... That was odd. What is going on? That was a hell of a desync there. It looks like some of the drivers, their pace is already falling off. Riddle though, sets his own personal best. He's catching up onto the back of... I think that's Brent Dixon. Yep, Brent Dixon in the number 13 Corvette. Got two Dixons now in the race, and I'll be very careful which one I get. Oh, Dixon very wide. So these two know each other from Retro Karting Association. So now Riddle's just got to use his patience. Keep the pressure on. Oh, Riddle up the inside. What a move. That was a brilliant move from Riddle, but can he hang on to it? Corvette's got a lot of torque. The McLaren's not a slouch in the straight line, though, as they're side by side down the back straight. What is our stance on interdimensional travellers in this race? Well, they don't quite pass our scrutineering procedure, but there's also no rules against them either. So I don't even know how that makes sense, but anyway. So Chris Ruffalo now catching up onto the back of Dixon. So it's not over for Dixon yet. Fun and games have only just begun. Championship leader Matthew Southwell languishing down in 11th. But up in front, Steve Duro way out in front. He's got a 4.2 second gap. It's actually quite stable between himself and Madretsky, but this battle, this is just starting to get a little bit interesting with Lauda and Madretsky. These three drivers actually know each other, to my understanding, from another league. And they have raced here before, so they already have the data. Hence why they are so far ahead of the rest of the field. Why is Thomas Lauda so quick? Because he is a very good driver. Very experienced sim racer to our understanding. As he closes up onto the back of Madretsky. These two guys, they want to be careful about how hard they fight, because at the moment Duro is just starting to disappear up the road. Might even be worth for Madretsky to let Lauda through and just try and follow him. Try and let Lauda carry him up to the back of Duro again. Almost runs into the back of Madretsky. These two drivers really putting on a show for us. We hope you in chat are extremely entertained. So Dominic Green, COB, Trav will let Thomas through over his dead body. As I think you're starting to prove me right. Drexler going very defensive. Only 14 minutes into this race, but Lauda gets a switch back over Madretsky, and Madretsky will have to yield as we go on board with Madretsky. As flames spit from the back of the Lambo. How can Madretsky? No, he goes for a dive bomb. Oh, he thought about it. Definitely thought about it. So, Ruka asking the question, how many points will Southwell get if he stays in 11th? Southwell will end up getting probably about 4 points. Sorry, correction, 5 points. So, looks like this round will be about damage limitation. Because of course, Madretsky, he got 10 points, and at the moment, he'll get 16 points where he is. Lauda, I believe from memory, he started from 3rd. Sounds weird though, I should probably remember where each driver started, but after the crazy events of tonight, I'm surprised I can actually talk. Duro driving like Princess Di is in the car. I don't see him crashing into a wall in a tunnel. It's probably a little bit too soon. I'm sorry to all the English fans out there. So Duro, I think he's just settling into a rhythm now. Wait to see. So Piper actually setting a pretty good lap time. And Woodward and 208.9 and DeVito 209.6. Nipris a 209 flat. So race pace is around the 209s. Drivers will be thinking about their tyres at this point as well. As we just continue to watch Steve Duro. Actually, let's go from this angle here. Looking back at Steve Duro's virtual driver, or the virtual Steve Duro. Looks very relaxed behind the wheel. I'm sure at home Steve is probably getting a bit of a workout and absolutely concentrating hard. So Rook asking what their expected pits. A lot of different strategies. I think drivers at the back, maybe Rafalo, we can expect an early pit stop from him. Although looking at his pace, he might be considering playing the long game and conserving his tyres. And then hopefully having fresher tyres at the end of the stint. So he can go absolutely ballistic and try and make up as many places as possible. We may see that drivers like Duro and Lauder, they may go for a 50-50 strategy where they wait until 30 minutes before they dive into the pits and take on their tyres. But Steve Duro, well, this race is in the palm of his hands at the moment. 209.3, he is probably settled into a tyre saving mode. Oh, Lauder, he sets a 207.9, and Madreski at certainly a 208 flat. So the gap will be coming down as Lauder momentarily is down to 3.9. We'll have a look at the gaps and see who is close on track at the moment. But we are still early days in this race. As I said earlier in the race, the first 50-odd minutes don't mean anything. You need to set yourself up for that final 10 minutes. Cameron Miller asking, what car would I choose? Well, Cameron, I am a Nissan fan, and I love the GTR. And if you catch our previous stream with the Go Race Promotions GTR doing the preview lap of the track, that is actually my own car. So the gap is now coming down. Lauder and Madreski, they seem to be working together to try and close the gap onto Duro. I'm not really sure what's going on, whether Duro is just going into conservative mode or whether his tyres have gone off. As we see, Garrard has already gone a lap down. So we'll give Garrard a... Not really sure what's happened to Garrard. The track to the leaders. That's very odd. I'm sure Sean Garrard is having a time of his life at home. He's got Matt Southwell coming around to put him a lap down. So I'd say Garrard has gone into the pits at some point. So we switch our focus back to Tom Lauder and Madreski. As Duro picks up the pace, he does a 207, but Lauder a 207 flat and Madreski a 207.1. So these two drivers, they are now closing the gap onto Duro. A 208 from Chris Nipris. So these three drivers are in a world of their own. Absolutely dominant display. Oh, Duro a little bit sideways. That's going to cost him a little bit. These three drivers, super experienced drivers from my understanding, as the pit window is now open. As we see a change in position, so DeVito's had a moment, and he's fallen down the order. He is falling into the clutches of Brent Dixon. Once again, mixing up the Dixon brothers all the time. Now he finds himself between Riddle and Dixon, so not sure what happened there. I'd say DeVito made a little mistake to make. As Southwell has had an off-track excursion. That's going through the S's. Now, this is an absolute disaster, Matt Southwell. He just needs to keep going and just put some points on the board. 207.4 from Duro. 207.6, so the gap expands a little bit by about 0.2. That little slide from Lauder, it's probably cost him a couple of tenths on Duro. Right about now, Lauder will really need to be thinking to remain calm, not rush. He's still got 38 minutes left in this race. He knows if he's got the leaderboard looking in the mirrors, he needs to ignore Madretzi and just focus on hitting all his apexes. One of the hardest things for a race car driver. When you make a mistake, you kick yourself. You try to make up, refocus, and just keep smashing out those quick laps. As Lauder outbrakes himself, that's going to give Madretski a chance to get round. Yeah, Lauder thinks about it. No, Lauder is going to argue the point, but Madretski goes round the outside and takes back second position. So Lauder overdriving a little bit there. As I said, it's one of the hardest things to do as a race car driver. Just discipline yourself into just thinking to yourself, okay, that was a mistake, move forward. Get on with it. We see Matt Southwell is in the pits, championship leader. Drops down to 12th. So he exits the pits. So now he's going to have... As Lauder's into the pits now. So this is a crucial stop for Tom Lauder. As I think he stopped too early from his pit, but after the Riddle, DeVito and Dixon battle. Probably after Rafalo, actually. Now this is a crucial time of this race. Tom Lauder, he's got to make... absolute disaster for DeVito as he loses a spot to Rafalo, and he's sideways again. He's got to allow those tyres to cool down. Once you have one spin in a set of Corsa, it's easy to have several spins. Now he's just got to refocus. Just get on with the job. Nipris is just... Looks like Nipris is remaining cool and calm. Just sticking to his rhythm. Looking after those tyres. As Duro and Madretski are now into the pits. So this is also a very crucial time. This is a response to Lauder. Lauder made his pit stop, so now these two had to make their pit stop. Otherwise, they would have risked an undercut by Lauder. Duro out of the pits. He's going to fall behind at Woodward and Nipris, more than likely. Nipris now takes over third position, but he still has to pit. And Duro comes out in between Riddle and Nipris. And Madretsky comes out just ahead of Rafalo. So, fresh tyres for Madretsky. Looks like a couple of drivers are making the long game. Brent Dixon in the pits. We're going to give a bit of airtime to his brother Kurt Dixon. His first time sim racing. And honestly, you should see the sim rig that Kurt has made. Lauder stuck behind DeVito. He's having a bit of a tough time. This is not what he wanted. To be stuck behind another driver. Very hard though. These drivers do not have a team of engineers behind them, trying to work out when each driver is going to come out of the pits. We do expect Lauder on the fresher tyres to make short work of DeVito. Also, once again, I'd like to apologise for the low stream quality. As Lauder now gets ahead of DeVito. As we see Kurt Dixon in the pits. As we have a look at our race leader, haven't given Ben Piper much time since the start of the race, but he's got Kurt Woodward behind him. Woodward again finds himself chasing someone for the lead. Unfortunately, it's not at the right time of the race. Still got about 11 minutes 50. Seeing a lot of drivers playing the long game, it seems. There's Nipris now, 2:08.6. So he's ahead of, well, virtual race leader Steve Duro. Nipris remaining nice and smooth. As Rafalo's in the pits. Another crucial stop. As that was a slow stop from Dixon. Sorry, wrong Dixon. That Dixon. Can't even get him right on the leaderboard. You can see Lauder is really driving that Lambo hard. His tyre came in about 36 minutes to go. He's really got to drive with his head right now. Piper and Woodward. We jump on board with Kurt Woodward as he chases that number 20. Oh, it turns in a little too early. You see, sorry, you had to have a second stab at the corner. Yes, Dominic, very, very sorry. Very, very sorry about the streaming quality. Good news though, Go Race Promotions will be moving onto the Twitch platform. Hopefully we get a little bit better quality of stream there. And we'll try and sort out the problem with OBS. Yeah, that was really unfortunate. I'm quite a fan of OBS as Ben Piper, he dives into the pits. This hands the lead to Kurt Woodward. As Woodward continues on. These drivers all playing the long game. So pretty well it is just Nipris, Riddle. Nipris and Woodward, Nipris and Riddle, who haven't made their pit stops yet. As Madretsky, he's fallen a long way behind Duro. He's made a lot of time on Lauder. Lauder obviously getting stuck behind a slower driver of Michael DeVito. Cameron Miller, yep. I know we can use OBS with Twitch, but OBS was causing a lot of the lag issues on the server, which is why we started seeing some really funky shapes coming from all the drivers out there. So we'll have to get to the bottom of that. It's very strange because it was working fine, and we had the couple of server resets, and then OBS started sucking up the bandwidth. So We'll have to work on that. Try and get to the bottom of that. But I digress. Steve Duro out in front. He's sort of managing the pace. He's got Riddle behind him, moving around to the mirror, and he's trying to close onto the back of Nippris. So Nippris hasn't pitted yet. His tyres will be absolutely shot. And this will be the dynamic that we see with the race strategy. Drivers who pitted early, right now they're enjoying fresh tyres, but the drivers who pit later, they will enjoy fresh tyres towards the end of the race when it matters. And of course, you can lead an entire race, but it doesn't matter. You have to lead that final lap in order to win. Nippris isn't really keen to do many favours for Duro. Looks like Nippris and Woodward are going to play the long game, but Riddle, he's into the pits. As he gets it wrong, he's way off. That is a disaster. Oh no! No, that is a disaster for Riddle. He's overcooked it and he's planted it into the fence and he's stuck. Oh, that is an absolute disaster. As you are quite correct, Cameron. DeVito has not pitted, so thank you for correcting me. As I see Woodward is into the pits. I don't remember seeing him coming into the pits at all. But right now, leader of the race, Chris Nippris. He hasn't pitted yet. He's got Steve Duro climbing all over the back of him. Duro on the fresher tyres. Nippris' tyres will be starting to feel like jelly by this stage. So, Duro starting to get a little bit impatient behind the number 61. As Duro, a little bit of a late lunge, just trying to put pressure on Nippris. There's some little bit of advertising there for the Anzac appeal. There's Chris Nippris in that wonderfully presented Anzac livery as Duro closes right up onto the back of him. That equally beautiful livery. So I can't imagine Nippris staying out for too much longer. Right now, he is losing time to the drivers. He is actually racing because they are all on fresh tyres, and Duro goes for the dive bomb. Nippris doesn't quite want to surrender the position, I should say. Nippris, he shouldn't be doing this. He's just costing himself time. But he just wants to lead. Nippris will go for one more lap. This will be killing Duro. This will be absolutely killing Duro. He is watching Madretsky close the gap in the mirror, and he's bringing Lauder with him. As the Corvette gets out of the final corner, really strong. They've got Garrard in the Porsche up ahead. Nippris really stretching out this first stint on these tyres. DeVito into the pits now. So it's just Nippris who hasn't pitted. And strategically, this is not a good call, I don't think, from Chris Nippris. But at least he remembered to put fuel into the car this time. He's got a lap car ahead of him. Garrard getting well out of the way of this lead battle. Or well, this battle for first. Nippris is not surrendering this position. But I have a feeling it's just a matter of when, not if. Duro will get up the inside of Nippris. We'll probably see a move here. Duro up the inside. Textbook move. But can he hold off the Corvette down the straight? Nippris is side by side. They are absolutely neck and neck. Duro to outbrake the Corvette. He does. So Nippris falls back into second position. But now he's got Madretsky coming up behind him. And Lauder as well. So, Duro, that was absolutely costly being stuck behind the 61 for that long. But Nippris, I'd say he'd be looking to do a full 20 minutes of qualifying laps. He'll have to pit this lap. He will not make it round in time for the pit window. And he's absolutely losing time hand over fist to the drivers. He is actually racing. So will Nipris peel into the pits? He does not. This is going to be very tight for Nipris, but Madrecki goes up the inside. So now, Nipris just falling behind. And Madrecki just using the straight line speed of that Audi. But Nipris not really wanting to let it go. As Sean Garrard now into the pits to tick off his mandatory pit stop, maybe his second pit stop of the night. I don't know that he's going to get around. He should get around, but he will have to pit this lap. So it looks like it will be 20 minutes of qualifying laps from Chris Nipris in this dying stages of this race. But now it'll be Thomas Lauder's turn to try and get around the number 61. And Thomas is an absolute demon on the brakes. As case in point, straight up the inside. No questions asked. So Tom Lauder, Gale gets ahead of the number 61. He moves across to the inside. He does not want to let Nipris back in front. He's probably seen how wide Nipris can make that Corvette. As he crosses back to the racing line, Nipris will have to brake early. His tyres are just not there. Lauder, last of the late breakers, it has to be said. Do expect Nipris to go into the pit, so ignore the number 61 Corvette in 4th place at the moment. He is out of sequence with the rest of the drivers as Lauder sideways. They go through the triple right-hander. As we see, Nipris into the pits with a minute left. That is cutting it fine. That is cutting it very fine for Nipris, but we'll keep tabs on Nipris's progress after his pit stop, because expect to see that car in the low 208s for this last 20 minutes. As now we see this battle for first, it's tightened up. Now for some reason Riddle's gone a lap down and he's fallen behind. Oh, that's right, Riddle had to teleport back to the pits. That would have cost him a bit of time. All three drivers almost going off the track through the S's. Now Piper and Woodward get around Nipris while he's in the pits. So now that's every driver has completed their mandatory pit stop. As we look in the background for these two drivers, Madrecki and Lauder, as this has tightened up really nicely at the front of the pack. Completely lost where Madrecki is. Because these two drivers, we're going to see a battle 3 wide going into this tight left-hander. Lauder, will he hang on? He's certainly got position and squeezes Madrecki off the track. But will Madrecki fire it back up the inside? He looks at it move. Oh, he pulls out of it just in time. That was almost contact. Almost contact between the Lamborghini and the Audi. Really exciting racing at the front of this pack. Duro, Lauder and Madrecki. These three have been the pick of the bunch this evening. So now we see Riddle and Dixon back into the pit, so this is very odd. Not really sure what's going on there, as Glenn Riddle has retired from the race. Very unfortunate for Glenn. This does give Southwell a bit of a boost. He's now up to 10th, championship leader. So now we refocus on this battle for first. giving some tech. So apparently, Kurt Dixon has been disqualified. That's very interesting. In the meantime, we're going to focus on this battle here. As we go on board with Steve Duro. So he's got Tom Lauder up the right-hand side of him going into the left-hander. They're going side by side. Lauder's going to stick it around the outside. Duro's going to run him off. But Lauder, that's going to be... That could be something that gets raised with the stewards a bit later. He exceeded track limits to gain the position. So I think Lauder might do well to readdress the situation. Now these three drivers now nose to tail. Duro's starting to lose a bit of pace, it seems. Maybe that battle trying to get around the number 61 has hurt his tyres a bit. .207 from Lauder. Lauder is starting to stretch the legs of the Lambo and starting to get away. There's all Madrecki thinking about a little dive bomb into turn one. It's very difficult to pull that off. Very easy to lock a couple of brakes, even with ABS. They're coming around to put a lap down on Matthew Southwell, championship leader. This has been a disaster for Southwell. Keep an eye on this battle. Jump on board with Vlad Madrecki, the number 29 Audi. Duros really angles it into the corner. That's going to cut off his exit speed. And now Madrecki's got to run. But, Duros is going to run him to the edge of the track. He is not going to let Madrecki have it. Do they touch? No. Duro parks it on the apex. He stops that switchback from Madrecki. So we say goodbye to Kurt Dixon, unfortunately. A disqualification for reasons we don't fully understand. Matthew Southwell manages to sidestep the 3 leaders. While Lauder just driving away into the distance. So Duro wide, Duro very wide. He's had to cut the track. That might give Madrecki a good opening. Duro's really struggling on tyres now. Let's see the Mercedes. It's moving around a lot more. I'm sure if we jump on board, we'll see a lot more wheel movement from Duro. Hear the howl of the Audi. I think Madrecki's up the inside. Yes, Madrecki has got him this time. Unless Duro proves himself to be the last of the late breakers. Will he stick it around the outside? He's going to squeeze. He's going to squeeze Madrecki. Does he hang it around the outside? He's got the inside for the next corner. And the one after that. So Duro holds on only just. But Madrecki fires it back up the inside. This is brilliant racing from these. Oh, they touch! Madrecki accidentally runs into the side of Duro. He readdresses the situation. Is there a bit of damage on the Audi? No, Madrecki's straight back onto the pace. Cameron Miller, here's your early prediction on the winner. Well, at this stage, Tom Lauder is leading, and he is opening the gap to Duro, but unfortunately he may find himself the subject of a post-race investigation. He did claim the lead after exceeding track limits. So, yeah. Going to be very, very close to decide. It's very early to decide. As Duro's sideways, I think the tyres have absolutely gone on the Mercedes. It's moving around so much. The rear tyres are gone. I think it's only a matter of time before Madrecki gets around the number 12. An absolute shame for Duro. He had such an early lead. He's not going to let Madrecki have it easy though. He's going to park the car on the apex. And he's going to cross over as soon as Madrecki. I think he'll have him this time. He should be far enough ahead as they come into the braking zone, unless Duro really tests the limits of the ABS on that AMG. He squeezes Madrecki again, gives him just about enough room, and he holds on again. This is unbelievable racing from Duro. He wants this second place. It's unlikely that he's going to catch Lauder, but now Madrecki, he's got the inside line this time, and he gets it done cleanly. So now, Vlad Madrecki up to second position. Can he close the gap on Tom Lauder? He's got 10 minutes, roughly 5 laps around this circuit, +1 to close the gap. Have to wait and see what he can do. Duro, I think he's going to have to just settle for third place. He's pretty safe with Woodward, Piper and Nipris well back. See how the Mercedes is behaving now. Now it seems to be settled down, so maybe Duro was just overdriving it, trying to keep Madrecki behind him. Seconds behind him, and then a further 5 seconds back is Chris Nipris. The number 61 Corvette. Just see him flash through in the background there. Oh, pardon me. Tyres on the number 9 Corvette. Probably a little bit better than Piper. We look back at Ben Piper. But Piper's got another real concern, and that is that number 61. He has been closing the gap ever so slightly. Out in front, Tom Lauder, he's 2 before. He's going to find himself in a post-race investigation for exceeding track limits. So we have just seen the announcement come up, a post-race investigation for car number 45, exceeding track limits and gaining an advantage. So Probably see a time penalty of some description if they decide that Lauder has made an advantage after that very tight battle with Steve Duro in this section of the track, actually. A little bit like the hard way this race. So a little bit back. Fell down through the order a little bit. And he's just slowly been picking off the drivers ahead of him. Beg your pardon. So we're starting to see some gaps tightening up, particularly for fourth position. Brent Dixon faster than all three of the drivers ahead of him. Right now, we're watching Tom Lauder. Nice and smooth. Certainly very comfortable in the Lamborghini. Cars. So 3 minutes 45 left in this race, plus 1 lap. Tom Lauder, your current leader at the moment. Duro's managed to find a little bit of pace back. These three drivers have just been pick of the bunch all round long. Rafalo struggling. We're actually going to just focus on Chris Rafalo for a second. It's looking really promising for the number 20 Corvette. He was very confident entering the round, and it's just gone absolutely pear-shaped for him. A spin at the twitch from the Corvette. So something's not quite right in that Corvette. Switch back to Woodward for a moment, as that gap is getting smaller between himself and Piper, though it's still 2 seconds. Those of you in chat, how have you enjoyed the racing so far? Thank you, Cameron Miller. Appreciate the compliment. It's been a very tough night, I have to say. I'd like to thank our competitors for putting in such a brilliant effort as well to bring us such an entertaining race. It does look like Tom Lauder has broken the field, but post-race investigation hanging over him. It's going to be very upsetting for Tom. Starting to see the times drop off for these three drivers, Woodward, Piper and Nipris. So that battle will have probably calmed down, I'd say. We'll stick with Tom Lauder, current race leader. He has been incredibly quick all round long, really. Came into the series just about a week or so before round number 2. Missed the practice session. He has just been unreal. Now we're heading into the final lap. It's Tom Lauder. Start off 3rd position. Had to fight his way through. Had a brilliant battle with Vlad Mudretsky at the start of the race. That battle continued on right up until the pit stops. Next race for the Go Race Promotions E-Series. It's a good question. I'll just have a quick look in my office. I'll be right back. So the next race of the Go Race Promotions E-Series is on the 16th of the 8th. We're racing at Spa-Francorchamps. These drivers will absolutely... We expect another brilliant race from the E-Series drivers. Tom Lauder. Picture perfect. Managed his tyres, managed his strategy. Mudretsky is catching. It's all too late though. As we can see, there is some lap traffic ahead of Lauder. Not sure that they will play a factor. Lauder coming onto the back of Sean Garrard. Put him another lap down. Garrett having done well to last an entire 1 hour behind the wheel. I didn't really see him make too many mistakes. He's going to just hold Lauder up a little bit. It's not going to hurt him too badly as he comes around the final corner. So Tom Lauder, in the number 45 Lamborghini Huracan. He takes the race win for round number 2 of the Go Race Promotions E-Series. Vlad Mudretsky comes home in 2nd position. And we wait a couple more seconds for Steve Duro to cross the line in 3rd position. Very, very disheartened body language in the AMG. As we can see, as predicted, a Russian doing burnouts. How odd. But we have a little bit of a battle going on here. Piper has lost a fair bit of time to Nipris in this last lap or so. It's not going to be long enough for Nipris to do anything, unless Piper makes a real hash of the last corner. Nipris has really closed the gap now. But Ben Piper will score a top 5 finish. Kurt Woodward in 4th position. Chris Nipris will come home in 6th place. And we wait for Brent Dixon to bring home 7th position. And Michael DeVito in 8th. Chris Rafalo, very distant, 9th place. Absolute disaster for Rafalo. But well done to Tom Lauder and Vlad Mudretsky. As we can see some celebratory donuts. There's a bit of a nudge there from... So we wait for Chris Rafalo. There's a real promising look for the number 20. Absolute disaster for Chris. So last of the finishers on the lead lap, Chris Rafalo. So here are the final standings for round 2 of the Go Race Promotions E-Series. Tom Lauder finishes on top, almost 5 seconds ahead of Vlad Medretsky. Steve Duro in the number 12 Mercedes AMG finishes 3rd. Kurt Woodward in the number 9 Corvette, and Ben Piper in the 26 Audi, round out the top 5. Chris Nipris comes home in 6th place ahead of Brent Dixon. Michael DeVito in 8th position. Chris Rafalo in 9th. Matt Southwell rounds out the top 10. Sean Garrard finishes 11th. The newcomer to sim racing. Glenn Riddle a DNF. Kurt Dixon a disqualification as well for pit stop related issues. So we're not really sure what is going on there. We'll have to get to the bottom of that. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the stream. We do apologise for the poor quality of the stream. YouTube is not being our friend at the moment, but we hope to bring you a much better quality stream in the future. So 16th of the 8th is our next round at Spa-Francorchamps, and we hope to see you then. Goodbye.